Jodi. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to make this quick and creative card using the new stamp set, Amazing Birthday. I've had lots of fun playing with this set. There's so many pieces and they're just very, very fun to play with and be creative with. So this is the card that we're going to do, and I just want to point out the shimmer on there with the gold ink and the gold foil paper. So let's get started. The card base is pistachio pudding. It is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and we just fold that in half for the card base. The next layer is the gold foil paper. The foil paper comes, this is some vellum in between. You can see it's transparent. You can see right through it. And in the package, you get some polka dots, some hearts, and then these stripes. So I'm applying my adhesive, and I'm being careful to put it just behind the gold stripes. I don't want to put it in the area that you can see through, because I certainly don't want the adhesive to be visible from the front of the card. So I will just set this on the front, centered, and then just kind of rub on those stripes where I have the adhesive. Okay, the next thing, I went ahead and took this stamp right here. I stamped it on Whisper White cardstock with wasabi, wild wasabi ink, and then used a banner framelit to cut it out. So I went ahead and did that. And you can see on our sample here that this is obviously not the same as how I used it on the card. All I have to do is take it right about here. It doesn't really matter because you won't see that line. And now I can put some of it up there with the rest hanging out on the bottom. So that's how you get that illusion of actually a longer banner. So I'm going to set this aside just for a moment, and I'll go ahead and cut this off. I'll show you this part in just a second too. This is the next thing I'm going to use. Make today ridiculously amazing. And this is our gold pigment ink. I'm just going to tap it gently on here. You'll want to make sure that you don't just push too hard into it. This is a very spongy ink pad, and you don't want to lose any detail in the stamp or make a big mess. So you can see over here that it looks pretty good, but on this side it's a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go back over and just make sure I have an even layer of ink. Looks pretty good. Okay, now this piece is just a random scrap that I have, and what I'm going to do is just stamp this at the top. Put this back on. Any ink pad like this, the lid just sets on the top, you want to store upside down. It helps keep the ink at the top of the pad. So I'm just going to peel this off, and now we have our image here. You can see it's a little bit crooked on the paper, and that's totally fine, because what I'm going to do, set some things aside, I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Trimmer. And the reason I do this is because I want it cut really tight, but the block is actually a little bit, bigger than the stamp, and I want to see exactly where it's going. So if you chose clear mount, maybe you would be more comfortable just cutting it to size first. I'm going to show you a little trick. What I'm doing here is just using this part right here of the plastic arm and lining it up with the top of the stamp. So you can see here that it's not quite straight across there. Usually you butt it right up against that. But now I'm lining it up right along here, and then I'll take my cutting blade like that. Now that I have that straight edge, I'll put it right up to the top to cut the other sides. So I'm definitely making it a tight fit on here. The last side. And then of course, because I didn't cut this precisely, and you might want to give this just a little bit of time to dry. I'm getting just a little bit of gold on my finger, so just give it a minute or so to dry. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back here and set this on a piece of Rich Razzleberry cardstock. Now I didn't cut that ahead of time either, because I didn't know for sure what my dimensions would be. So I'll just press it into there, turn it upside down to push it on there good. Okay, so then I'll just line this up and cut just so it has a small border on all the sides. So sometimes it's easier to cut before you start. Sometimes it's easier to cut afterwards and just work with whatever size stamp you're using. Okay, so pulling this back in, if you remember, I want to tuck this down here, so I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on here and just attach that at the top, relative center. And then same thing with this piece down here toward the bottom. Not all the way down to the bottom, but I'll leave a little bit right there. And then I'll use some Stampin' Dimensionals and put them on the back of this layer, one in each corner. Just peel the backing off of each of those. And then this will raise this layer up just a little bit, creating more of a focal point. Then what I did is I went ahead, and somewhere over here, I have this butterfly. This is vellum also. You can see it's transparent. You can see my finger through there. This is with the bigger of the two butterfly punches, Elegant Butterfly. The name will be right on your screen right now, whatever you see. That's the name of it. So this I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive right in the middle and set it down here. And then I'm going to put one of the bigger rhinestones in the center of that. So that'll kind of cover up the adhesive so you don't notice that. Okay, so the very last thing, if you notice the difference between these two cards, what really makes it pop is changing up the ink color on the word amazing. So what I had done, you may have seen it before when I pulled out my white scrap, I went ahead and stamped a portion of that image using rich raspberry ink, and all I'm going to do now is take my scissors and cut that out so that I can put it just flat right over the image that's already stamped in gold. But just making that one word pop with a different color makes all the difference in the world. I mean, this is cute, but this really sets it off and makes that pop. And as you can see, it didn't take long at all to cut that out, even with scissors. We're spoiled with punches and framelits for everything, but even scissors work okay still. I'll just set that right over it, and now you've got that nice pop. Thanks so much for watching. For daily creative inspiration, visit my blog or find me on Facebook at Jodi Reinert Stamps.